I never thought I'd be the kind of man who believed in ghosts. I used to laugh at those stories people whispered around campfires. The curses, the haunted houses, the witches who never died. But that was before the summer of 1973. Before Bell Hollow. Before I learned that some legends aren't born from imagination, they're born from memory. It's been 50 years, yet I can still smell the rain that night. The air was thick with the scent of pine and wet soil, and lightning crawled across the sky like cracked veins of silver. I was 19, driving my old Chevy through rural Tennessee, a stretch of road they called Bell Hollow Road. I was supposed to meet friends by the creek for a late-night fishing trip, but the storm came early. Thunder rolled through the hills, and the radio faded to static. That was when I saw her. A woman stood by the side of the road. Barefoot. Soaked. Her long black hair clung to her face, and her white dress looked grey in the lightning. I slowed down, rolled down my window, and asked if she needed help. She didn't answer, just lifted her head slowly, and for a second our eyes met. Cold. Empty. Like looking into a mirror that had forgotten your reflection. I blinked, and she was gone. No footprints, no trace, just the rain hammering the hood of my truck. I thought maybe I was tired, seeing things. But then I looked in the rearview mirror. She was standing in the middle of the road behind me, watching as my taillights disappeared into the fog. When I reached the creek, the guys were already packing up. They said the sheriff came by earlier, warning everyone to stay off Bell Hollow Road after dark. Said it wasn't safe. Another hiker went missing last week, one of them muttered. That's when the oldest one, Jacob, told me the legend. He said Bell Hollow used to be home to a woman named Margaret Bell, a midwife, back in the 1800s. People called her the Witch of Bell Hollow. Said she could heal the sick or curse the cruel, depending on what you paid. When a local child died during a fever outbreak, the townsfolk blamed her. They dragged her from her house, tied her to a tree by the creek, and burned her alive. Jacob said they buried her right there, near the old willow, but before she died, she screamed a curse. That anyone who spilled innocent blood in Bell Hollow would meet her again. We laughed then, like dumb kids do when fear sounds too dramatic to be real. But later that night, when the storm finally broke and the moon pushed through the clouds, I saw something moving in the trees. A pale figure gliding between the trunks, hair flowing like smoke. The others didn't see it. Only me. And I swear I heard a whisper drift through the rain. You shouldn't have come. The next morning, one of our friends, Jimmy, was gone. His tent was empty, but his boots were still there. No footprints, no struggle. Just gone. We searched all day. The sheriff called it an accident, said Jimmy probably wandered off and drowned. But the creek was shallow, barely waist deep. Something didn't add up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing scratching on the walls of the cabin, soft like nails dragging across wood. When I got up and opened the door, wind rushed in, and there, by the willow tree, was a faint glow. I walked closer, the mud sucking at my shoes. The air was colder, heavy, like it didn't belong to this world. And there, hanging from a branch, was something swaying in the wind, a mirror. It wasn't big, just an old-hand mirror with a cracked glass surface, tied with rope to the branch. Lightning flashed, and for a second I saw my reflection, only it wasn't me. The face looking back was hers. The woman from the road. The witch. I stumbled back, dropped my flashlight, and ran until my lungs burned. When I told the others in the morning, they laughed. but one look at my face shut them up. We left that day, packed everything and drove home without looking back. For years, I tried to forget. Tried to convince myself it was the storm, the darkness, my imagination. I went to college, got married, had a daughter. Bell Hollow became nothing more than a bad dream from a reckless youth. Until 40 years later, we were visiting a flea market in a little Tennessee town not far from where I grew up. My daughter, 6 at the time, was running ahead between the booths when she stopped and pointed at something on a vendor's table. It was a small mirror. Old. Cracked straight through the middle. My blood ran cold. It wasn't identical, a little smaller, newer, but that same long jagged crack split right through its center. My daughter was holding it up to the light, giggling at her reflection. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab it and throw it away. But I didn't want to scare her. So I just smiled and said softly, "Sweetheart, let's not keep that one. It's old and broken." She frowned. "But Daddy," she said, "I could have it." My heart stopped. She. "The lady," she said. "The one in the woods." She was so nice. She said it used to be hers. I took that mirror from her so fast she cried. I tried to calm her, but my hands were shaking. That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat in the living room with that mirror. The house was quiet except for the ticking clock and the faint hum of the refrigerator. I told myself I'd throw it out in the morning, but I couldn't stop looking at it. The crack seemed deeper in the dim light, almost like something was behind it. My reflection flickered. For a moment, I thought I saw movement behind me, a shadow passing down the hall, but when I turned, nothing was there. When I looked back, her face was there. Not faint this time, clear, solid. She looked exactly as she had that night in the hollow. The same dead eyes, the same pale skin stretched tight across her face. Only this time, she was smiling. And her lips moved. I couldn't hear her, but I could read them. "You brought me home." The lights went out. Everything went black. I don't remember much after that, just my daughter screaming, my wife shouting my name, then silence. When I woke up, the mirror was gone. The police said maybe I passed out. My wife said she heard the sound of glass breaking, then found me on the floor, bleeding from a cut on my arm, though there was no broken glass anywhere. My daughter wouldn't talk about it. For weeks, she just sat quiet, sometimes humming to herself. When I asked what she was humming, she said, "The lady taught me." We moved out a month later. I made sure there wasn't a single mirror in the new house. But even after we left, I'd still see her sometimes, not in mirrors anymore, but in windows, puddles, shiny metal. Always watching. Years turned into decades. My daughter grew up, had a family of her own. She doesn't remember much about that summer. Or maybe she just doesn't want to. A few years back, I got a letter from an old neighbor in Bell Hollow. He said they were finally tearing down the Bell house, clearing out the hollow to make room for new homes. He wrote, "You should come back, Tom. Face the past." I almost did. Packed a bag, even started the truck. But halfway down the highway, I saw something that made me turn back. On the side of the road, by the tree line, a woman was standing. Long black hair. White dress. Watching. I didn't slow down. Didn't look twice. But in my rearview mirror, she didn't move. Just stood there as my truck drove away. That night, when I got home, there was a package on my porch. No name, no address. Just a box wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a mirror. Small, oval, cracked. I didn't open it all the way. I took it straight to the woods behind my house and buried it deep. Poured salt over the dirt, said a prayer, and walked away without looking back. I don't know if it's still there. I don't want to. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind blows just right through the trees, I swear I hear her voice again, that slow, whispering drawl calling my name. Tommy. It's been 50 years since that summer. I've told myself 1,000 times it wasn't real. That maybe it was grief, or guilt, or something broken in my head. But deep down, I know better. There's something evil in that hollow. Always was. If you ever find yourself driving through rural Tennessee and see a sign that says Bell Hollow Road, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't turn down it. And whatever you do, if you find a cracked mirror out there in the woods, don't look into it. Because once she sees you, she never lets you go.